Hey, I'm Caleb with Woodshop, and welcome to a new series I'm starting on my channel, a wood species basic series where I will be going through all kinds of different wood species with you, discussing their workability, affordability, etc. Today we will be starting with humble pine. The purpose of this series is directed towards beginning woodworkers or people that are interested in taking a step into woodworking and haven't even started yet, and just going over the woods that you probably will be using and eventually the woods that you might want to try using. I thought it only appropriate to start off this series with pine. Pine is sort of the training wheels of woodworking, probably almost 100% the first wood that you're going to go out and buy and use for your projects. While a lot of us probably are very familiar with pine, and if somebody who's a non-woodworker were to close their eyes and imagine wood, they're probably going to be picturing pine in their head. But it's probably important to note some things about pine that you may not know. You've probably been around pine a lot. Your dad could have built a deck last summer, and odds are he probably used pine. Pine is widely available just about everywhere. For the most part, it's sold as construction lumber. You're going to be building decks or frames for buildings out of pine. As you can see in this whole shop, all the walls are pine. So pine usually is intended for a construction purpose. Doesn't mean you can't use it in your woodworking. Pine is a very affordable wood. I bought 3 of these 1x6s, and that cost me about $16. So not only is pine widely available just about anywhere, and it's abundant, but it's also cheap and affordable. Pine is also a softwood. Technically speaking, you have softwoods and hardwoods. Softwoods are usually evergreen conifer trees, so trees with needles and cones, as opposed to trees that lose their leaves at certain times of the year and produce seeds in the form of like fruit or nuts. Whether or not a wood is classified as a softwood or a hardwood actually has nothing to do with its physical hardness, although pine, however, is quite soft. You could easily mark it with like your thumbnail. So because pine is a softwood and it's actually physically quite soft, that may give you some limitations as to what you may use it for. For example, I wouldn't personally recommend building like furniture out of pine. Maybe like a small end table or something would be okay. Something that's not going to get a lot of abuse, but maybe like a chair or a table or something that'll be moved around and used quite often. It could probably easily dent or mar the wood, and you don't want that on your project. But also because of its soft nature, pine is very easy to work with. It is very gentle on your blades, very gentle on all of your tools. Now, because for the most part that pine is sold as a construction lumber for rough carpentry work and the like, how would you implement pine into your woodworking? I mean, it seems like you could probably just build most of your projects out of pine with how affordable it is and easily available it is. You can find it in like all of your big blue and orange box stores. It's not hard to come by and it's cheap, so why not just use pine for everything? Well, you probably won't want to, again, because of how soft it is. It might not be great for most applications. And as you go on, you'll probably want to experiment with different kinds of wood as well. You can take this construction lumber off the shelf, and the kinds of projects I recommend building would probably be small kitchen or like bathroom decorative projects. It's also great for any home decor, especially if you like kind of a country style rustic motif. And when I say kitchen projects, I don't mean like cutting boards or spoons or things that will actually come into contact with food, because since pine is such a soft wood, I think that leaves more potential for bacteria or nasty food juices to get inside of the wood. Take this bag recycling box I made. This is pine that I got off a pallet, and I thought it had such nice character that I think it looks fantastic, especially with the rooster on there. It makes a nice kind of a homey country type of feel. I feel like pine projects are very warm and inviting. And also, like this bathroom toilet paper tower, that is another fantastic use for pine. Okay, so we've already established that pine is cheap and affordable, it's widely available, and we talked about some projects that might be good for you to use pine on. But are there any downsides to pine? Yes, there is, and that goes back to its softness. Not only will that make it maybe not an ideal wood for every project you're building, but you also have to be careful while you're working with it. One of the things is you may accidentally bump it against the side of your workbench, and that could leave dents in it. Or if you're like me, from your last project, you might have accidentally left some nails or screws on the surface of your workbench, and if you're not careful when you're setting your pieces down, those pieces could dent the surface or even get stuck inside, leaving a nasty gouge that you may not even be able to sand out. But sometimes those things can be small enough to where if you don't say nothing to nobody, they ain't gonna notice. So now let's talk about finishing pine. Well, you can really finish pine with whatever you want, but what I recommend is using some kind of oil finish like Danish oil or wipe-on poly. I tend to favor spray lacquer as my finish of choice, and when I use spray lacquer on pine, it always seems to go on kind of uneven, not very smoothly either. I have to often sand my final few coats before getting a pretty nice finish with it. So I have finished some projects with lacquer and have gotten pretty decent results on there. For the most part, I think it's just much easier and looks better if you finish pine with a kind of oil finish. Note with the oil finish, it's not going to offer the same type of surface protection that a clear top coat would. So there you have it. That was our first look at pine and our first look at one of the many species to come. Like I said, we're starting off with pine because this is most likely the wood that you will be starting off with in your woodworking. If you're already a woodworker, or especially an experienced woodworker, this video might not have offered you anything that you don't already know, but if I missed anything, maybe you could contribute down in the comments with any additional information about pine or any additional type of projects that you would recommend making out of it. And you'll know what to expect when you start working with pine. Pine is really kind of an underrated wood that not a lot of people think about. I think because it is so common, because it is so cheap, I think a lot of people opt to use something else instead. Used for the right project and the right application, pine can look pretty good and add some nice kind of a comfort level to your home, I think. It feels like being in like your grandparents' house where you just felt warm and cared for, you know what I'm saying, dude? Or like when you go on vacation to a nice like cabin and there's lots of pine and cedar stuff everywhere. But anyways, I hope you found this video informative, and I hope it'll give you some ideas of what to expect if you decide to go ahead and jump feet first into woodworking. I will be looking at some more different wood species in the future. Subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss a video. You should also know that if this is one of my first videos you're ever watching, every Friday I post a woodworking project, and every Wednesday, if you really like that project, I do a follow-up on that project with my brother-in-law. So if you want more videos like this and also projects and follow-ups to projects, you can go ahead and subscribe, and I would appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.